Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another morning showcase. I am delighted to have with me here today Roy Fever from RightVal. How are you, Roy? You okay?
I'm very well, Simon. How are you today?
Good, good. I'm looking
Good.
rough and ready, but that's the new look. So it's not that I've had the inevitable mental breakdown. This is meant to be.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
We didn't need you to comment. So we already got.
That's fine. I'll zip.
Yeah, we've got Mr. Mint saying hello, and obviously long-time friend of the show, Zoe Boywater. Hello, guys.
There's my stalker, Zoe. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that seems to be a growing theme, actually, that Zoe is industry's best kept stalker.
It probably is. Yeah, that's the crowning glory. There we go.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, look, let's get a bit of context about you. So, title today is we're going to be obviously introduction to RightVal and why agents should choose you. So, Roy, do you want to give a bit of background? Because of course you are one of those, as I tend to be a little bit biased. You're one of those wonderful organisations that are prop tech businesses that didn't start in an ivory tower. It started from agency, seeing a challenge, seeing a real need, and you built from there. Do you want to just give us a bit of context around that?
Yeah, of course I can. So I started in property and estate agency 23 years ago. And a very dear friend of mine, Matt Sutton, who's the kind of like the tech genius behind RightVal, it was just about 2 years ago, actually. He dropped me an email sort of talking about we were already using an online valuation tool. Questions were flying around, and we kind of went, well, let's do one ourselves. And I think, in all honesty, Simon, I think what we wanted from the outset with RightVal was just to be really simple, one-click wonder, easy to set up within 5 minutes and get going.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not putting sort of the downers on. I mean, there's some fantastic tech out there, I get it. But from my side and my experience as an estate agent using similar tools and equipment, when people start saying to me, well, your logo needs to be certain pixels and DPI and all this lot, you find you switch off really quickly. So yeah. when we set this out, the criteria was really simple, really effective, dead easy to set up and understand, more importantly, and cost effective. So we got some feedback very early on from Chris Kiriakou, just a quick name drop, about the whole kind of month to month, so not tying people into a contract. So there is no contract to it. It is affordable. And as I say, I think the beauty of where we've had the experience as well is everything we've ever done with this product from day one, not only got my kind of feedback as an agent, we've listened to what the industry's told us as well, so other users, but 23 years of doing it, I know what I want out of it.
Okay, and it is a nice niche to fit into, isn't it? Because it's not like my old world of CRM where to start. Yeah. You need to start thinking about sort of almost military planning, how they're doing the data conversion, what's the timing, the integration. Similarly, things like websites. This is genuinely one of those nice ones that can be implemented. It still needs to be thought about, doesn't it? And we'll probably come into that to get the most out of it. But actually, to kick it off, it's not one of those hugely complex tools, is it?
No, not at all. And again, very much like I started my estate agency, and Matt has worked in a very similar sort of, I suppose, idea with his tech side and the sort of companies he's worked with and companies he's started up. We both wanted to do this without borrowing money. We both wanted to prove again, like we've done with our estate agency, that you can do something if you've got the right mindset, and if you're open-minded to what people are telling you, you can create a product that doesn't cost anything up front. And you can just get going, but you've got to believe, and I think that's the real key here as well. I had an experience years ago in a estate agency working for, I sort of thought the grass was greener for a brief time. Turned out very quickly I didn't believe in the product and wasn't successful at what I was doing, so I went back to the other company I used to work for. And again, that's the same with RightVal. It's like we firmly believe, well, I know I do, and we've got Emily as well now, that the product we've got is not only cost effective, but as you say, it works and it's really simple.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fantastic to do it. So just give us again, going back to the beginning. How long have you been going? Did you say when did it start?
Yeah. So the initial idea was 2 years ago. Matt and I were chatting, and sort of within 24 hours, we had a very basic working product. And we realised, I think, like you say, it wasn't a particularly hard product to create, but it's making it then work moving forward. So we were running through a test phase probably up until about April last year. We had a number of clients that we managed to kind of coax to use it, test it out for us. Great feedback. We're on the 5th version of it now, and that 5th version's been running since last April. So what we are doing is it's not changing as such now, but we are adding little things like we've sort of changed the layout of the landing, or you can choose the layout of the landing page and so forth. So last April was really our kind of, right, let's get going. And this year coming into January, again, we will go into it in detail in a minute, we sort of added RightVal Mini. So it was really a year and a half.
Okay. And what problem did you feel you were solving for the agents? What was the crux of the issue that you felt that you needed to do to bring RightVal to the market?
For us, again, it was the usability. Quick, easy, 5 minutes, you're up and running and off you go, and you can start generating leads if you've got a basic understanding of some Facebook advertising, for example. So it really comes down to usability from an agent's perspective. That's what we really wanted to get across. And again, that came from my experience of using another product. We wanted it so that people can understand it, people can use it, get instant, that minute results. And we've seen it, and they do get it.
So just on that, what's the importance then for an agent to be able to have that online tool? Do you just on that? Do you have any sort of idea yourself what percentage of agents do have or don't have online tools?
I've never worked a figure, but sort of just looking around, you're going to be looking at least 60% of them have got it, but a lot of them don't even have it on the website. A lot of them are using it just with sort of social media marketing, email campaigns, that kind of thing. We found, particularly ourselves using it through the estate agency, that the majority of our leads are coming directly in from Facebook marketing, sort of campaigns we're running there, rather than directly from your website. But it is easy to just pop on your site. You just need to sort of get hold of your web designer, create a button, and off you go.
Is that still an issue these days? I think it's getting much better, isn't it? But some of the web providers do seem to either be totally intransigent to make it happen, or they hit you with a big sort of price tag for what seems like a small bit of work. Is that a problem that's getting better, or does that still form a bit of a blocker for some of your clients?
No, I think, to be honest, because we're very honest from the word go with clients, and we are saying to them, we're not going to sort of suggest that you just put it on your website nowhere else and it's going to generate you 50 leads a month. That's not going to happen. Let's be honest about it. You've got to drive this forward. So again, we talk to clients, never had a problem so far, touch wood, that clients not been able to create the CTA button, call to action button, to pop it on your website. But without a doubt, Simon, the website is not where your traffic's going to be driven from. It will happen. There are funnels in there, and again, there's no people out there that are kind of saying you've got to put the buttons here, there, and everywhere and make everything work. So it will happen. But as a general rule of thumb, we've not had an issue with anybody not being able to get it live, if that makes sense.
You got me going again now. I'm a big fan of funnels at the moment.
Yeah.
I've got like a mad scientist whiteboard of all these funnels are going on.
Okay.
I think it's that's enough about my private life. But I mean, really, a valuation tool has to be in the kit bag, doesn't it, of an agent looking at those funnels? I mean, you mentioned 60% of agents. That feels about right, 1 in every 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to understand. Maybe there's some agents here who are watching who can comment on what they feel it is. I know some agents feel like they do feel like maybe it had a place earlier on, but the public are a little bit wise to it now. I think most of the public do understand that this is normally a data gathering tool and everything. But that doesn't, in my head, that doesn't mean you should still run away from it just because that's. No,
I think one of the biggest conversations I'm having with people at the moment, I think particularly since we've come out of lockdown, a lot of agents are sort of jumping on the bandwagon. They're getting loads of valuation leads now, and not necessarily from a valuation tool because the market is busy. A couple of conversations I've had with a few clients who are like, I don't really want to do this anymore. I don't need it. I'm busy. And I'm saying that's fine. But what you've got to be looking at now, this is your build a relationship for sort of next year's business, the year after, 6, 7 years, 8 years down the line. You need to be sort of talking to these people on a regular basis. And I think one of the biggest things that I do say to clients is make sure you've got some kind of nurture campaign, a blog, a regular newsletter. You need to be there in people's minds. You need to be talking to people.
So don't leave it in isolation. Basically, like everything, it should be on the channel. You should have nurture campaigns. If you're just expecting that lead to magically work its way through the funnel, you're gonna be sadly mistaken, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think the other conversation, and again, when we talk about the RightVal Manage with clients, where we generate the leads for them effectively and manage them through to them, there's only going to be a very small percentage that will do business, say, within the first 6 to 12 months. A lot of these clients will be on that sort of very early doorstep of their journey. And a lot of people, particularly, you get to about a year, something happens in the market like we're going through now, and obviously the press are screaming that sort of the market levels are up, estate agents are making loads of money, etc. We wish, but it's getting them into that sort of mind frame of that these people at a year, 2-year battle now, coming out of that sort of COVID scenario, they want to know what the price is worth. You may never have spoken to them, but this is your first point to get in now. And I keep saying to people, look, even if you're not on the managed, even if you're just on a bog standard service and you've just got the tool, so to speak, the software, it's a good point to start that journey with people. People will remember. I think somebody said to me that they can't remember the last time they bought something from an advert from the television. But if you're doing subliminal advertising and you're just talking to people regularly, I'm not talking about mailing them every week because they'll get bored and shut you out, but just relevant content. And we know a great guy who keeps talking about content for landlords and so forth, but it's true.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I do. You know what you just said there? I do wish one supplier would one day be brave enough just to call their service the bog standard service. That would be fantastic.
Oh dear, you're setting a challenge now, aren't you? Yeah.
You might have missed out, but there was an attempted coup to take the show the other day, at Roy, which unfortunately I was unable to make it for various charitable work reasons, and David Mintz attempted to seize it, and it just goes to show that we're getting that with my first show back, we're getting loads and loads of questions. So that shows me that the market is responding in kind here.
Good. That's what we like.
We've got a lovely testimonial for you guys from Nick Tatham at Bay City Living's a fan, clearly. Really smooth system, easy to use, great leads, good support. So that's great to hear. And James White, good morning to you, sir, as well. That was a good question. I think that was about the website, but I'll apply it to all the questions that I made. And that's a really interesting one there. If you are going to put it on your webpage, what's the best place to put it on there? Is it a bang central CTA? Is there a more niche area around it? I mean, obviously, is there multiple? What can you elaborate on there?
Well, I think every website's different, and I think again, if you listen to what Chris Kay says, you're going to bring in again. We come back to that point of the funnel. So you want people to be able to think, "Oh, I can do that. I can do that." On our websites, we have at the top of the page and the bottom of the page, sort of some questions throughout it, particularly when we're talking in the landlord and vendor section. It's like, well, find out what it's worth now. You don't have to always say get your free valuation, but you can start. We'll start your journey today, and it's just that I don't think there's any specific point other than you want it as often as you can without it kind of just becoming like a call to action website, if that makes sense. So regular in similar places. I would always say, and again, I stand to be corrected on this from other people's experience, and that's the important thing, is we don't know everything, but we will listen to what people are telling us. Always at the top, every single page, always at the top.
And I guess just as important is the terminology. Is it just stick with the tried and tested free valuation here, or are other people trying differences of language that have demonstrably different effects?
I think again, there was an interesting post that came up a couple of weeks ago, and it talked about helping the client. It's not just about kind of ramming it down their throat and sticking it in front of them. It's kind of giving them a reason to click it. So yeah, different terminology can be used. Things like "let's start your journey" or "let's help you with your journey." Click here, and then instantly they're on it. They're not thinking they're going to be straight away getting a valuation. You can do another landing page from that pre the valuation and kind of talk about who you are and what you're doing. And I don't think, again, it'd be interesting to hear back from people that are watching this or unwelcome sort of comments that come through, different things that people are using. And I think this is, again, what we're trying to do. I know Chris Watkin keeps saying that he's free 7 o'clock in the morning or whatever when he's doing his exercise. He'll talk to people. I found since doing RightVal my conversations with a lot of agents out there has changed so much, and it's just nice. Communicate, give feedback to each other. We're all in this together, you know, and if we can help, and if people are using certain things and have seen, I don't know, dramatic increase because they changed the wording or the design of the button, then we'd love to know about it, because everyone wants to benefit from it.
Obviously, Chris, obviously the main man there, he does get a bit angsty though. If he likes everyone to remind you his surname is Watkins, because he gets a little bit angry about the extra one. Also, I like what you said. Obviously, he does do that fantastic thing in the morning, doesn't he? Where he'll take a call from anybody when he's on his exercise bar. Just to let the industry know, I do the same whenever I'm eating at Greg's. So that's at 8:15, 10:20, 10:30. 2 a.m. I mean, basically, pretty much on the hour, every hour you can get me. But anyway, there. Okay. Oh, and yes, here we go. Here's you've got an Australian viewer. Here you are. I promised you we'd take you international. David Minch, you've held this to
marvelous.
The first opportunity gets your chopped liver. Shane Whaley, the socialist ego. So there we go. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Hutch. Let me get to the bottom.
Oh, I love it.
So Zoe's just jumped in though again, and she says, "What does just going back to that point there about nurturing those? Does RightVal have any kind of more automated links, or do you have to set those up separately?" She's talking here about Drip and Mailchimp, and critically, is it easy to set up? So thanks, Zoe. They're perfect.
Okay, so the best person to fully answer that would be Emily, but unfortunately Emily's not with us today. She's on holiday. Terrible giving staff a week off. I mean, I don't know what that's about. But anyway, so what we did, again, I've always said to Matt, what I want it to be is what I would class as a one-click wonder. Okay, and we're not talking about sort of personal life, obviously. So it's more a case of in the agent's dashboard, it's very quickly through to settings. You've got Drip already set in there, so you click the button, put in your Drip details. Mailchimp again, you put in your details, and it'll click through. Same as Zapier, so you can use webhooks. We've got the API integration as well. So kind of everything's there, and again, it's just listening to feedback from people. I mean, Matt always said he could sit there and write tons and tons of different coding for the links to loads of different products out there. But we kind of looked at the main ones that people were using. That's come out as Mailchimp and as Drip. We had somebody the other week trying to set Drip up, was struggling a little bit, but Emily got in there, got it sorted. And again, we don't charge for it. It's just like we want to help you. We want you to use the product and get the benefit from it.
Excellent. Well, James just jumped back in as well. Just said he meant the homepage or the property results page there. So I think we've answered that one, hasn't he? And he's just as he goes on to say, more than one in various spots. And I think
just don't want to do overkill with it. It's got to be a reason for them to click that. But don't just have it. I mean, we used to. I mean, something I learned as well. We used to have it on just on the main homepage, on the evolution page, nowhere else. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Yeah, people aren't always on that. They'll spin off to something else. So yeah, no, we've sort of multi-populated ours, so it seems to work better.
Cool. And are there other more innovative ways? We mentioned obviously social media is an obvious one there. Do you find people, for example, though, doing kind of prospecting email campaigns, driving people back to a landing page where you do have the valuation tool in there? Is that kind of where things are evolving at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, there is this age-old thing. It's still not. I don't think it's been used to its full potential. Is QR codes. You can put a link on the leaflets, but if you create a QR code, pop it on there, pop it on your leaflets. You can send it initially to a landing page, and then to your from there again, it can click through to your Val page. So again, you very easily monitor the kind of the individual results you're getting from things.
That's a really interesting angle, that, isn't it? Yeah, as just saying that the QR codes, they're making a bit of a comeback, aren't they? I think just that fact that they're now they pop up automatically, don't they, in the camera has made a big change, hasn't it, in terms of
I mean, when I first tripped over the QR codes, crikey, that must have been about 9-10 years ago, I think. You had to download an app on your phone and to be able to, and you kind of, who's going to download the app just to use it? They're not. But as you say now, I think on iOS, you just hold your camera over and off it goes, and you're in.
And we got Rob jump in as well, obviously just pointing out SMS marketing, obviously popular. Are you seeing what in terms of? I mean, this is all omni-channel as the favourite phrase goes. Are you seeing people getting involved? I mean, one thing is if you're going to go down that SMS route and indeed WhatsApp or Messenger, you are going to see stellar open rates, aren't you? You've got to be very protective that you don't abuse that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, a conversation I always have with clients, particularly when we sort of launch them onto the managed service, you are going to get people out there that are not abusing it, but are just kind of having a mess around, and you end up with, I don't know, Bob the Builder at bobthebuilder.com, and, you know, they're obvious. And I think sometimes you do have to be very careful, as you say, that you don't blanket spread it, and then you're just kind of diluting the product that you've got. And I think also, and this is always an interesting one, and we've got quite good incentives with our team upstairs. You don't want the staff to become despondent with the results that you're getting. So you want to be aiming for the quality, of course you do. And I think I've not personally explored the SMS side. So Rob, I'll be talking to you at some point, no doubt. But yeah, I think you've got to be very, very careful that you're not, as you say, diluting it and just bringing in a load of stuff that you don't really need from people that aren't really ready or not interested.
Roy, thank you very much. I knew I was going to enjoy it. I told you we were going to do an hour. Now
You've not embarrassed me. That's the good thing.
No, it's good. No, I'm off to go crabbing now, and that opens up a whole different set of questions.
Draw the line.
Cheers, Roy. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Simon.